So then these ones, if I have negative 6, negative 3, and negative 1, what number am I going to start with here on the left? I thought, see, okay, I had 2 people say negative 1, I had 1 person say negative 6. Of these 3 numbers, which is the smallest? If I were to put 0 in the middle, if I was going to count up, I'd go 0, and then I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or, if I'm going negative, I would start at 0, and then I'd go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. So as you get negative, this number here, the bigger the negative number, the smaller it actually is. So when you're working with negatives, the smallest one is actually the one that's most negative. So in this case, it's negative 6. So this is the one that we're going to start with when we label our number lines. So I'm going to put it down here. I've got my negative 6. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure we space these things properly. What is the distance from negative 6 to negative 3? How many numbers are in there? There's 3 in there. That goes from negative 6, I've got negative 5, negative 4, and then I've got negative 3. So the space between negative 6 and negative 3 needs to be bigger. And how many numbers are between negative 3 and negative 1? Or how many times am I going to have to jump? I'm jumping twice, right? Negative 3 is going to go up to negative 2. And then I'm going to get negative 1 in here. So the space here should be bigger than the space here, because from negative 6 to negative 3, there's more numbers in there than there are from negative 3 to negative 1. So if you're making a number line yourself, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to start with the smallest number, or the most negative number, on the left-hand side. And you're going to work your way up to the biggest number, or least negative, on the right. Good? Okay, so this guy here. I got negative 10, negative 5, 0, 5, and 10. If I'm putting these guys on the number line, which one am I going to start with? I'm going to start down here on the left with negative 10. And then if I look at what I've got here, are all of these numbers the same distance apart? How far apart are they? They're all 5 apart. Negative 10, if I go 5 up, I'm going to get to negative 5. I go 5 up, I get to 0. I'll go up 5 more, I go up 5 more. They're all the same distance apart from each other. So when I put them on the number line, I don't have to do here what we did here. So I'm just going to make my number line negative 10, negative 5, 0, 5, and 10. And they are all already the same distance away from each other. And then this last one here, this one is going to be very similar to my first two. Where am I starting at on my number line? Zach, you need to have your booklet out, dude. I'm going to start down here at negative 22 or minus 22. They're all the same distance apart, and I'm going to work my way up towards 0. So having number lines, being able to draw number lines, is going to be a useful tool as we go through this. Because I'm not giving you guys calculators for a little while, the number lines are a great way to model how we add and subtract these values if the math facts aren't already burned into your brains from elementary school and middle school. So I'll show you how this works. I'll review how this works. Okay, so let's look at adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting is, as far as numbers go, some of the simplest things you can do with them. And we can use a number line to visualize this. If I want to use a number line to visualize addition and subtraction, When I add, which way are we moving on the number line? I'm always moving, I'm moving to the right. Good. If I'm subtracting positive values, yeah, Jordan? We're going to the left, very good. The only difference is what? Well, let's take a look here. I'm going to go over to the right. I want to add something in here. Adding negative numbers, adding negatives equals or is the same as, if I'm adding a negative, that's the same as doing what? For example, if I had 4 and I was adding to that negative 3. This is the same as doing what? Welcome back. You guys found your waters? Excellent. We're on the page that looks like this. Up at the top it says order of operations, bed mass, and then number lines, and then adding and subtracting. We'll get you, jump straight to where we are. We'll get you the parts that you missed in a second. Okay, adding negatives is the same thing as what? Yes, sir. Yeah, keep going. Sorry? No. If I'm adding negative 3, so I'm at 4, and I'm adding to it a negative value. I'm subtracting. Very good. Adding negatives equals or is the same as subtracting. So then, if I have 4 plus negative 3, when you've got something that looks like this, this is the same thing as 4 minus 3. When you're adding a negative, it's the same thing as subtracting. So it's not going to be 7. 4 minus 3 is going to be, well, to do that, we can look at a number line. So on the back of your guys' times tables that I gave you, your multiplication table that I gave you, flip that thing over, and I've given you a number line that goes from negative 40 all the way up to 40 to help make this work a little easier for you. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't write down all of the numbers. I put spaces for all of the numbers, but I didn't write them all in. So if I'm going to model this using a number line, subtracting means we're moving to the left, and I'm going to do 4 minus 3. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to zoom in on this number line, and I'm going to show you how this thing works. You've never used it before. I know lots of you have. We're going to go to where 4 is on the number line. So we're now modeling 4 minus 3. So this is what I'm going to take a look at. I'm going to go to where 4 is on the number line. So I've got 0 labeled here, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 right there. And if I'm subtracting 3, then from 4, I'm going to move 3 whole numbers left. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. What number am I at? 1. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and that's how we use a number line to model that. Garrett, are you with me here? You're awake? Fantastic. So that's how we use a number line to model this. So 4 minus 3 is 1. Because adding negatives is the same as subtracting. Let's go the other way. What if I'm subtracting something negative? I'll put it over here. Subtracting a negative equals or is the same as what? If I've got something that looks like this, let's say I'm doing 4 and I'm taking away a negative 3. What does it mean to take away something negative? This one's going to be 7. Why? What did you do? How did you get 7 from 4 and 3? Because you add them together. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding. Because you've got these double negatives in there. If you're taking away something negative, that is the same as adding. So you can rewrite it. When you've got the subtraction of a negative, that's the same thing as addition. So 4 minus negative 3 becomes 4 plus 3, and this, we're told already, is 7. Cool. So let's model this using a number line, shall we? If you don't have the number line, so I've given you a number line, you can use this guy all you want, but if you don't have it in front of you for whatever reason, you forgot it, and we have a quiz, for example. We take a look at this, 2 plus 3. This is something that lots of you guys are going to have memorized. If I have 2 and I'm adding 3 to it, I get what? 5. Fantastic. If I wanted to model that on a number line, here's how I would do it. I would start with 2 on my number line. Because I'm adding, I'm moving which way? I'm going to the right. And I'm adding a positive, so I'm moving to the right. So I'm going to move over 1, 2, 3, and I can just count this up. 2 is going to give me 3, 4, 5. That's it. That's how we use it. Obviously, this is something simple that lots of you can do in your heads, but this is how I would model it using a number line. Likewise, if I have 1 minus 4, sorry? No. Let's use a number line to model it. I'm going to start wherever my expression starts. I'm going to start here at 1. And because we're subtracting a number, which way am I going to go? I'm going left. How far? I'm going 4 to the left. So we're going to start at 1, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to count down from 1. As I move left from 1, this number is going to be? No, it's going to go from 1 down to 0. And then we're going to go to -1, -2, -3. So 3 and -3 are not the same thing. So 1 minus 4 is -3, and that's how you use the number line to represent that. Again, I've given you a number line from -40 to 40. Use it, don't lose it. But that's it. So this is it for today. This is all we're doing. It's practice adding and subtracting, using a number line to move around. I'm going to come around and help where needed, but it's just, review of how to use a number line to do some of these things. The numbers are going to get a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Start here. Get as far as you, and I will tell you, with a couple minutes left in class, I'll tell you what I'd like you to do for homework, but I want you to start there and keep going. We got another page here. We got lots of practice. It looks like a lot. Don't worry, I'll shorten it up, but I want to see how far you guys get in the time that I'm giving you. It looks like a lot, but that's it. Practice on adding and subtracting. On your mark, get set, giver. Start here and go until you get to multiplication.